Welcome to the third video in the series on the scientific method. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to start our series on graphs. And in this video, we're going to look at how to make a pie graph. So I'm going to walk you through the steps and then have you practice and make one of your own. We'll also talk about why the pie graph and what situations it is the best choice. So to get started, we're going to use Google Docs or Google Sheets in the Google Suite. That's available. It's free to everybody, so I know it's available to everybody. Excel is going to work in a very similar way. So you can transfer these skills from Google Sheets over to Excel. So to start with, I'm going to open a new tab. And I like to grab I'm usually signed into Google. I use it a lot. There's some a hot link up here. It's the series of dots. And if you click on that and you come down, click on Google Sheets, and that will automatically open for you. Let's click on blank document. We're going to start from scratch. And let's call this, this is 1.03 pie charts. That's our video number. So when do we want to use a pie chart? We're talking about pie charts, bar graphs, and line charts. And we're going to see that pie charts are very helpful when we're looking at results and data that is the percentage of a whole. So if you have all the students in the student body and you want to know what percent have brown hair, what percent have red hair, etc. In this case, we're going to look at fruit in a mixed fruit box. So what percentage of our fruit box is apples? What percentage is oranges? So selection criteria, these are good for one, if you're doing the percentage of a whole. The other thing is you don't want too many data points. If you get a lot of data points in a pie graph, it starts to get a little bit hard to read and a little messy. So this is just my recommendation. It's not a hard and fast rule, but I tell my students 5 to 6 categories is a good number of categories for a pie graph. If you're going to have 10, maybe a bar graph would be better. And if we're going with more than that, we want a line graph. So I'm going to zoom my screen in a little bit more here so you can see it a little easier. Let's do that. Okay. And scroll this down. Oops. Okay. All right. So the first thing we're going to want is some data. So let's do, like I said, our first example is going to be the percentage of fruit in a fruit box. Sometimes in schools, students will sell mixed fruit as a fundraiser, and the box comes with different types of fruit. So that's the scenario we're imagining here. So my first column is going to be type of fruit. And my second column is going to be number of pieces. Now, one of the things you might notice is that sometimes your text is bigger than your cell. You can either change the font and make the font smaller, or you can resize your columns. So we're going to select both of those. And this brings up the point, I also want to show you how to operate some of the functions in Google Sheets / Excel, because this would work as well in Excel. So I have my 2 columns highlighted, and I'm going to right click. So that was a right click, and it brings up this menu. I want to resize columns C and D, and I want to fit to data. So that tells me that those columns are now going to be the width of whatever my entries are. All right, the fruit we're going to consider, I'll probably have to resize this again. Green apples, red apples, oranges, grapefruit, and pears. That's what's in my fruit box. And again, I'm going to resize these to fit to data. All right, so my green apples, I have 10. My red apples, I have 10. My oranges, I have 25. My grapefruit, I have 5. And my pears, I have 15. The other thing I'd like to go over in these videos is how to complete some simple math operations like finding percentage, finding slope, so on and so forth. So to find percent, we're going to manually calculate it before we do our graph. Remember to take the percentage. You're going to take each piece divided by the whole, which means I need to have the total for this. Now, you might think, well, I could do this in my head. I've got 25, 30, 40, 50, 65. But the other way you could do it if you didn't want to manually do this is you can select your data that you want to sum. you can come up to this. There's a stack of 3 dots. That's a hotbar or a link. And there is a symbol here. It's the Greek letter sigma. And if you click on that, it brings up functions, and I can hit sum, and I hit enter, and that gives me my total. Then to find the percentage, to put this formula in, I'm going to hit equals. I'm going to pick, and it already has an idea of what I want to do. So I have percentage in my title column, and the software can kind of detect that. So it's going to take D3, which is this box, divided by D8, which is this box. So all I have to do is hit enter. Now that's in decimal form. I want it in percentage form. So if I click percentage, it changes it, and I only want 1 decimal place. Now I don't have to do that for each of these boxes. I can select this bottom corner and I can drag, and it's going to give me, it's going to, when it brings up this, it's saying, do you want to do this for all of the cells? And when I come over here and I click on this box, I see that it calculated all of them already. I hit check mark, and it has the same formatting as the boxes above. So that's how we find percentage. All right, when actually making the pie graph, you want to select the data that you want to graph. So I have my apples, oranges, grapefruit, and pears. I'm going to keep that highlighted, and I'm going to go to, again, if this wasn't opened up, I would open this up, and I would go to, chart is on here somewhere. There we go. Chart, insert chart. Now it brings up choices, and it automatically came up with a pie chart. But if I click on chart type and I scroll down, I can see it gives me my choice of bar charts, line graphs, areas, columns, bars. I can change my pie graph. So let's say I wanted to make it 3D. I can tilt it and make a 3D pie chart. So we have all kinds of choices here on the charts that we're going to make. You can do marker maps. We've got table charts, all kinds of fun choices. Now, this isn't the title I want. So to change it, I'm just going to double click, and I'm going to put percentage of, percent of fruit in mixed fruit box. Let's call it that. Hit enter, and it changes my title. I can also change it by doing the drop down box here. So let me go to chart and axis titles. I can change those here. I can change my legend, so on and so forth. All right, so that's going to give me what I want. And you can see here, I'm going to size this down a little bit. It's a little bit big. You just drag, click the corner and drag to make that a little smaller. Let's bring this over here. I didn't actually have to calculate percentage. It did it for me. So here it shows that my pears are 23.1%, my grapefruit 7.7, my apples are both 15.4, and my oranges are 38.5. So, which matches what we calculated here. But that also shows you, the purpose for that was to show you how to work Google Sheets a little bit. Okay, I'm going to give you guys an example. And then you can hit the pause button and go ahead and work it out and then see how you did. So in this case, we're going to say I have a jar of pens on my desk. And I want to know what percentage it is of each color. So let's say I have black pens and blue pens and red and green and other. Whoops. Fix that typo. All right, so black, I've got 30. Blue, I've got 20. Red, I've got 15. Green, I've got 10. And other, I have 7. And I'd also like you to go through and manually calculate the percentages too, to practice doing that. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, and see you back here in a second. Okay, so this is what you should have had, and I'm just going to walk through it again. So we're going to sum this, and then I'm going to find my percentage. is going to be equal to, and I don't want sum here, I want percentage. Oh, that might be right. No. This time it didn't give me what I wanted, so I'm going to have to do this like that. Here we go. Percent. Let's change the decimal and we'll drag this down. Okay. Then I want to graph. I want to make a pie chart. So I'm going to select this. And I want to go to create a chart. And I'm going to go with a pie chart. Okay, we've got that. I'm going to close this. One of the things I forgot to tell you was I wanted to have you change the title. This time I did not do it in 3D. I just did it as it came. And let's change this to percent of. Okay, so this is what you should have gotten. 8.5% other, 12.2% green, 18.3% red, 24.4% blue, 36.6% black. So here's what we went over. How do we make pie graphs? How do we calculate percentage using formulas with Google Sheets? And we talked about the best choices for pie graphs, which data sets work best with pie graphs. Okay, I'll see you in the next video where we're going to talk about bar graphs. Thanks for watching.